Really take the best posture ever and then relax that posture. So take your superhero posture, your Wonder Woman posture, your Black Panther posture, your Batman, cheerful Batman posture, and then relax it. With respect and friendliness to everyone in the world, especially Megan Polari, give it away. So today we're expanding this. We have a huge audience on Facebook, 10 million fans. We have, which MSNBC is 2.5 million, for example. Hey, Megan, long time, too long. We have a good audience on YouTube. We already have almost 200,000 views on our recent interview and conversation about anti-racism with Jane Elliott. We're sharing it on Instagram. We're sharing it on YouTube. We're sharing it live on Facebook to maybe 10,000 folks, and we're doing it here. So up until now, it's just been me and Gabriella Caballero and Donna and Catherine and all of you here in Crowdcast. And so we're expanding it because the quarantine is over, and why not? Let's have a party. Not enough, we're not having enough parties, right? So we're gonna have an online digital party. That sounds stupid, except we can connect with empathy. So today we have a complicated subject. For those of you who are in Instagram, go to elephantjournal.com/gathering because this is gonna hang up for you in 5 minutes. elephantjournal.com/gathering is free. Today I wanted to talk about, as you know, those of you who are here in Crowdcast land, how to not be a doormat in our everyday life. Is that a subject of interest? How not to be a doormat in your relationships, how not to be a doormat in your love partnership, how to not be a doormat in your work life, how to not be a doormat in your friendships, how to not be a doormat even with your so-called enemies that we talked about. Does anyone ever feel like sometimes you're a doormat? Is this interesting subject? So there's a Buddhist teaching on this called idiot compassion, and we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I actually want to disagree with myself. Is there a virtue to being a so-called doormat? And we're going to discuss first the notion of blame. So on social media, there's this big thing, and I hope everyone on Instagram wants to come over because we're hanging up so I can focus. There's a big notion called blame and shaming, and people say, you shouldn't shame me. I don't want to be shamed. I would encourage people to feel a little bit of shame. If you do something awful, it is healthy to feel shame. Our friend in the Oval Office never feels shame. Our social media culture encourages us to never admit to fault or to blame. We can actually grow up. Trungpa Rinpoche talked about the ultimate or the greatest mantra of all for life was Om, grow up, Svaha. And we have a VIP guest here, Linda. I hope she can stay for a little while. Anyone else here ever have conflicts around blame? So basically, the Buddhist notion of drive all blames into one is we push blame back and forth like a hot potato. Sakriti, you did this thing. Giselle, you did this thing. Kate, you did this thing. Catherine, you did this. And all of you point back at me and say, no, Waylon, you did this. And guess what? You're all right. I'm probably right. I'm also probably somewhat wrong. There's some ego or some blame action in there. And you're probably wrong. So there's a lot of wisdom in there. Let's bring it in and focus a little bit. So literally in preparing for this today, I was just reading an article by my mom. So let's put that in the sidebar, drive all blames into one. So it's a Lojong slogan, which means mind training. We actually can train our minds so that our minds grow up. So, you know, the expression, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. If we can react to life by accepting some blame and ending the hot potato thing, what happens when a hot potato is pushed back and forth? It doesn't get cooler. What happens to that hot potato? Anyone? I think my mom knows the answer. Lindsay knows the answer. But look at your personal experience. When you're pushing blame back and forth with your loved one, what happens to that blame? Does it get smaller? Does a hot potato cool? Or does something else happen? It gets mushy, mashed potatoes. In my experience, anyone else? Any other? It explodes. That's closer to what I wanted to point to. Anyone else? You both get burned. Love that. Burns more hands. It actually is a magical hot potato. It actually gets bigger. So who here has ever had an argument with a loved one or a roommate about dishes? Anyone? About dishes, about cleaning the bathroom, about cleaning the house, about putting gas in the car, about who remembered the diapers or who remembered whatever, or who forgot this. Have you ever had a small argument about something almost meaningless and forgettable? Anyone here? It's either a quiet group or we're on delay. Here's Redford walking in. All the time, exactly. Sophia, Farah. Jan has never had a petty argument. Diane, Allison, Catherine, Lauren, Giselle, Maggie, Luann, Jan, Kate, Luann. So Carla, Rosemary. So Kate is one of our editors. She has a really cool husband. They're both gorgeous people. From the outside, and Kate just wrote about this. Kate, put your article in there. From the outside, everything might look beautiful, right? But on the inside, it's not that things are ugly. It's that things are real and they're nitty gritty. And even a happy young married couple can and will have daily little things around dishes or around making the bed or around opening that window or around whatever, right? But if we can't accept even a little bit of responsibility or blame, we push back and forth, and it actually kind of toxifies the entire relationship. Anyone feeling this? So this is exactly what drive all blames into one is the tonic for. What drive all blames into one is the antidote to. So is anyone feeling that? We can discuss this first. You can always ask a question. There's Kate's article. Yeah, so she shared a photo of herself looking lovely and having a glass of wine at a cool restaurant. And she said how kind of crazy her day was, something like that. I read the original Instagram post and I loved it because it's honest. Can we be honest? Can we actually accept blame? Does anyone here want to say something critical to me? Because now's your chance. Why don't you say something critical to me and I will demonstrate drive all blames into one. Anyone got anything? Lindsay, Emily? My mom? Redford? I didn't take Redford for a walk. My friend just did. Now's your chance. I'm a sitting duck. Can you see my shirt? I thought it was cut off. But that's not exactly what I was looking for. Criticize my shirt or criticize me. I always look tired in the morning. That's what being 46 equals. You can see the shirt? Oh my God. For me, it's totally cut off here. When did I talk about VIPs? I'm not sure. Okay, so this shirt, I'm so sorry you guys can see this shirt. In my view, it's completely cut off right here. I could use a shave. Thank you. Now you're talking. Of course, this shirt could be offensive to some people. I agree. Okay. People really don't like the shirt. I am so sorry. I understand. It's a lot to see on a Friday morning. I'm happy to explain, but I first want to apologize for offending anyone about this shirt. And honestly, in my view, I can take a photo of it right now. It's completely cut off. So my mom knows Michael Bandak. Michael Bandak made this shirt for me. He's someone I grew up with at Dharma Brat. Do people want an explanation for the shirt? Then we need to move on. So I get called names. This actually connects directly with what we're talking about. So you're allowed to not like this shirt. You're allowed to like it. We don't need to argue about that. I accept responsibility for offending anyone about it. But it's actually apropos that anyone is offended about it. So I was called this. Now I can see it. I was called this in Facebook comments by someone. I get called things every single day. Elephant gets attacked. So, you know, can you imagine how many things Elephant gets attacked about every single day with 10 million Facebook fans? Leah, thank you. That's helpful. It's interesting to say, what is arrogance and what is transparency? Yeah, I mean, I look at some of my videos and I think I sound like an arrogant. And my whole childhood, many of my mentors thought I was arrogant or bold or loud, and really I was just insecure. So I don't know why I sound like that, because I feel like I genuinely have the intention to be helpful, but I hear you, Leah, so thank you. So getting back to the shirt, Shirtgate, I was called this, and Michael, my childhood friend, found it so funny that I was getting ripped apart online. He actually made a shirt. He lives in Germany and mailed it to me. And I opened it up and I didn't understand why he had sent this to me. I'd forgotten about the comment. I've been called everything, you know, every day. You can imagine doing what I do, what you get called every single day in this divisive, hateful social media society. So it's a lot. I mean, sometimes I get briefly depressed and feel like crying. Sometimes I feel like, you know, you just close up, not because I'm so hurt, honestly, but because you're seeing how dark people are. As anyone, maybe we could put that AOC blog in there. By Sukriti in the sidebar. So AOC was called a effing bitch on the Capitol steps, allegedly, according to her and other witnesses. And, you know, you see how callous and how sexist and how racist and how just downright rude and mean and partisan and divisive people can be so casually. It's a casual aggression. It's often not even deeply rooted. So Catherine, I apologize for sure. I might have been speedy. I had to do so many interviews at Wanderlust. I didn't get to have much fun. None of that's an excuse, but I might have just been speedy and kind of caught up in my world. I think Lindsay, who is on this call, who works with me, has seen me deal with like a lot of busyness, and that I'm always, I think I would come off as dismissive or arrogant, or I might even be dismissive or arrogant when I'm busy. So Catherine, I really deeply appreciate you coming here. And I would like to remind everyone that Elephant is not about me. I think we've hopefully done a really good job of that. Elephant is a community. Elephant is you. Elephant is all of us. And it is also me. And we're all imperfect. I'm imperfect. Is anyone else here imperfect? Is anyone else here not let their imperfection stop them? And we say, hey, I want to try to be of benefit. And Catherine, I am genuinely deeply inspired, like Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my idols. Maybe we can put her 10 quotes in the sidebar, Lindsay, to try to help others, because that's when we're happy. The Buddhist expression is, if I think only of myself, Catherine, as you probably caught me doing, then we're miserable. If I'm being arrogant and dismissive, I'm probably experiencing that like a goldfish in a tank. I'm probably experiencing the water of dismissiveness and arrogance. Or maybe it's inability to keep up, like Lindsay maybe was saying. There's a lot of comments. Lindsay just said, I was probably trying to whip Waylon into shape to stay on schedule. So, but I really appreciate you speaking up. That's super brave and generous of you, frankly. And we all have to communicate honestly to each other. Anytime, has anyone ever been at a restaurant and you're eating and someone says, "Hey, you have some stuff on your face." Whenever anyone says that to me, I say, "True friend." That's the mark of a true friend. Too often we're all nice, kind of like, please read Kate's article. I felt like it was so spot on about Instagram culture. Too often we're all just kind of pretending everything's great, but we have to be willing. What Catherine did just now, she didn't put a lot of extra attitude on there or say I was an evil person or try to justify it. She just shared a simple observation, and that is incredibly generous. And that actually brings us back to our subject, or we've been kind of talking about it in terms of blame the whole time, is can we communicate in our relationships? And again, relationships aren't just with partners, they're with friends, they're with enemies, so-called enemies, people who irritate the F out of us. They're with people we barely think about. And they're with colleagues, they're with all manner of people, they're with social media friends, right? Catherine, thank you. Yeah, so actually, Joe Alston, I hope all of this is about blame, which connects with being a doormat. So some of us go on the warpath, right? We say, no, I didn't do the dishes, but I'm always doing the dishes. You never do the dishes. You never dry the dishes. You broke my favorite china plate. 2 months ago, you bring up everything that's ever happened. You leave the toilet seat up, the toilet lid. You don't gas up the car. The bike tires are flat. You ate my favorite hot sauce. Has anyone ever had an argument like that? Either you're the one saying it or your partner is saying it, or it could be a colleague. It could be a professional thing. You just bring up everything that's happened. And think about it. If someone, you or them, is bringing up everything that has happened, anyone else? I feel like this happens to everybody. It's quiet group. Okay, we're just on delay. So think about it. If you or them are bringing up everything, we've probably been carrying that with us for a month or however long that period of time. Imagine carrying that subtle resentment that you're willing to unleash at any point, like a lawyer, to prove your point. Can you imagine that? You're walking around. Kate's walking over to Moxie to get a loaf of bread, and she looks happy and everything's great, but really she's carrying this huge weight of resentment and blame. So I think that's what this shirt, to conclude all that, this shirt, I was delighted by it because he was making fun of our tendency to call each other names, right? We call each other names all the time, but we're not actually curious about one another. Curiosity, openness can lead to love, right? That's that tenderness, that vulnerability that Pema Chodron talks about, that Buddhism talks about, that Brene Brown talks about. The other way we can go is we can be a doormat, right? We can be a doormat. So when Lisa Tibbetts says to me, God damn it, you didn't wash the dishes, you didn't do all your stuff, you're an awful friend, and she attacks me, I just say, peace, I just put up the white flag. You're right, I should do all, and I go and do everything. That's the other way to go. So we either go to war or we just try to make everything nice. Does anyone in there, can you think of anyone in your world, it could be yourself, who just tries to keep everything nice, right? You know, we're kind of like walking on eggshells. I always think like tiptoeing through the tulips. We're like trying not to break anything. Everything's fine. Peacemaker, doormat. So what's the problem with that? Because there's a nice inspiration there, right? You want peace. People pleaser, right? What a great phrase. Me to a fault. love that you said fault in there, because that's blame. And so if we want, do we want fake peace? Do we want fake peace, or do we want real war? Which one do we want, fake peace or real war? Let's put idiot compassion in there. Do we want fake peace or real war? Anyone? Fake peace or real war? Neither. Virginia, thank you. We don't want either. So what's the solution? The solution is to relate to blame in a different way. The solution is to not just go to war and be defensive. When we're arguing in that way, we can feel ourselves be, Carla, I hear you, but there's a better thing than real war. Real war is not braver. Real war is covering up all of our tenderness in a kind of cowardly way and going to war. And it's not honest. We build a case against them, but we're innocent. Is anyone here 100% innocent around the dishes controversy of 2020? Anyone? Anyone 100% innocent in your relationships? No, that's just not realistic. So there's a third way, the Buddha's middle way, right? Is to relate with blame honestly, drive all blames into one. As my mom writes in her article, my mom's here. I'm so excited. She hasn't been able to join any of this because I gave her my old laptop and it's like 10 years old and it overheats. She could toast her toast on top of the laptop. So I was just reading her article before I came here, and driving all blames into one is not being a doormat. Being a doormat is this sort of fake peace. In both fake peace and real war, the motivation is to get out of trouble. In both fake peace and real war, the motivation is to get out of trouble, to get the fear and the anger and the blame and all of that away. Do people get that? So let's stop doing that. Do people get that? Let's all vow to each other we'll stop going to war about the dishes or these petty things, and we'll thank you for writing that down. Sometimes it helps to really just like think about it super clearly. When I'm trying to make peace, the motivation isn't genuine. It's to get out of trouble. Remember John Lewis, dear John Lewis, said, get in trouble, get in good trouble. So let's get in good trouble. Good trouble is accepting blame and responsibility. And good trouble is being willing to have difficult conversations. So that's a chapter in my book, Things I Would Like to Do With You, which just happens to be here. I've never had it on the table when I've referred to it in 16 different gatherings, but I just signed a couple copies. So anyway, there's a chapter here called I would like to have difficult conversations with you, something like that. Things I would like to hear from you when you are afraid. I would like to communicate with you about difficult things. You can see the original title in the URL. So there's a line in it. I don't want to waste time finding it, but there's a line in it that basically says, if you're willing to have difficult conversations with me, I know that we actually have a real relationship, not just, infatuation. Catherine. So, and again, that doesn't just apply to loved ones. Let's stop just thinking about partners. Think about your family, your dear Aunt Liz. Think about your colleagues, Kate, Lindsay, Emily. Molly is here. Molly's been super sick, maybe with coronavirus all week or 2 weeks or something. She's here. Let's all give love to Molly. I'm surprised she's even showing up for this. But she's off duty. She better be. Think about your so-called enemies. Think about people you don't think about. That's a category in Buddhism where we say, think about your barista. Think about the person who delivers your food. Think about the person who delivers your mail. Think about all the people in your life, maybe some of your neighbors who you don't really acknowledge, you don't really think about. It's all relationships and situationships. Well said, Nicole. So we've talked about going to war, fake peace, and a third possibility, which is working with blame, except, sitting on that hot potato and not letting it get bigger. Exactly. I quote that book, Virginia, that poem in my book. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Rumi. And as my mom points out in her article, the last paragraph is almost my favorite, because who here, particularly women in this culture, have been sort of trained by society to take blame, right? To accept blame, to roll over. And AOC didn't do that. So please, if you haven't seen it, click on Sukriti's blog. Let's put that in there again. Put my mom's link in there again. My mom's last paragraph is so powerful. And my mom's a powerful woman. She's talking about drive all blames into one. This does not mean that we should admit to a felony or crime which we have not committed. This slogan is not an invitation to martyrdom. This slogan is not an invitation to martyrdom. Nor does this slogan imply that we should never speak up if we see something destructive occurring. Nor does this slogan imply that we should never speak up if we see something destructive occurring. It is not complaint if we are speaking up and acting in order to warn others of danger. Then the concern is not me-centered, it's focused on the larger picture. So we can't get nihilistic about this. We can't get nihilistic about this and just say, there's no wrongdoing. I think that's the danger of that Rumi poem. There is wrongdoing, right? Today, the Trump administration announced that they're seeking to remove anti-discrimination policies from housing. Even from a nonpartisan point of view, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, we don't want discrimination to be okay in our housing, in our public housing. There are rights and wrongs. Recently, someone criticized me because I said something critical of our president. She said, it is your responsibility as a journalist to present both sides. That is not true. There are not two sides to the climate change debate. Actually, there are two sides to the climate change debate. There are not two sides to the climate change reality. Science. There are not two sides to truth all the time. There's truth and there's BS. And truth is why I really dislike the phrase my truth, your truth. There's truth. My truth is vaguely relevant to the truth insofar as my truth can pervert truth. I.e., if I think wearing a mask is stupid and enough people are like me, we can actually make an entire country sick. That's just a hypothetical I just made up. It's really a crazy idea that people wouldn't care about other people with a simple piece of cloth. That's insane in the middle of a pandemic. That wouldn't happen. But I could think of a more realistic example if you gave me time. So being willing to have difficult conversations, that takes, what does that take? What's a word that takes? Courage. Honesty, bravery, vulnerability, authenticity, vulnerable, bravery, compassion, composure, grit. True grit. It takes true grit. I love that you said grit, Cindy, because who starred in the movie True Grit? This is like a weird Jeopardy game suddenly. Humility, genuine. Tess, exactly. That's what I said on my Instagram. I said he's returning to his roots. So John Wayne starred in True Grit, right? John Wayne is every coward's idea of a brave person. John Wayne is every coward's idea of a brave person. He avoided the military. He's just macho. As I discussed with Liz Plank, maybe we could put that. I just interviewed a leading feminist the other week who I'm a huge fan of. She's very funny. She's very incisive. She's very tough. Liz Plank. We talked about masculinity, toxic masculinity, genuine, healthy masculinity. And she talked about, letting go of that John Wayne notion of courage. So being willing to have a tough conversation takes courage. It takes awkwardness. It takes vulnerability. It takes exposing our messy hearts. And the cool thing, as I write about in that Things I Would Like to Do With You link, is you don't have to do it right. Let's stop waiting to have a tough conversation until you can do it right. If you want to wait to have a tough conversation until you can do it right, when will you do it? Does that make sense? If you're waiting to do it right, when will you be willing to have that tough conversation? If you're waiting to do it right, yeah, never. So you just have to speak up. You just have to say, "Dear tough boss, I find you super intimidating. I think you're really good at certain things. I think you can kind of bully me a little bit. Please don't tell me to shut up or leave. I need this time. What I need to do a good job is X and Y. Right now I only have X. And I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to say it. You have the power in the situation. I don't have the power. But here's what I need. If you want to get your money's worth, I'm just not happy here. I want to be happy here. I love the work. I don't know. I don't have enough information about your tough boss. If it's tough in a good way, tough in a bad way, tough a bit of both. You just have to go for it. At Shambhala, hey Kendall, at Shambhala Sun Summer Camp, we had a song that said, "Do it, do it, do it anyway, do 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 it, do it." You get the idea. The idea was just go for it. Just open up and just try. And if you fail, as my mom used to say when I was a kid, you're right back to where you were anyway. Remember, Mom? So you just go for it. Do it anyway, do it, do it. Because, it's better to try and fail and be genuine than to not even try and be a doormat, or to just have the only solution be that you rant and rave at your loved one or your friend or your colleague once a month. I had a girlfriend who was a wonderful person. Everything was always great. And then she would get tipsy once a month or whatever, and she would yell at me every time she got tipsy for 10 minutes straight. Because I guess she was never comfortable enough to bring stuff up unless she got a little of the old bourbon in her, And I would always say, honey, literally, I always said this. I'm not trying to sound good. I said, you can talk to me about this stuff anytime. It was her, and again, she was fantastic, and I have all kinds of things myself. But she was very tight, very tight. Everything had to be perfect and kind of very pro and very type A. And that's okay. We all have our types in relationships, so you can work with that. But no matter who we are, we need to be willing to be, do it anyway, do it, do it. Does anyone want to sing along? Should we have a do it anyway sing along? And then we're going to go to camp, and we're going to focus on drive all blames into one, the Lojong slogan, how to practice that as a takeaway for your entire life. So obviously, all of this comes back to what? To making friends with ourselves, to being able to talk with ourselves, to being able to listen to ourselves, to be able to feel. Just simply focus on your heart right now. Feel how you feel. Just everyone do this. Just touch your heart, and you don't have to get all spiritual about it. Just, how are you feeling? And just doing that, you find yourself relax, because it's like your body or your heart just feels acknowledged for a second, right? I felt how tight I was, how sort of tired I am. And just feeling that, I could feel my spine. I breathe. It's such a nice thing to do once in a while. All right, ask a question. So you can always ask a question and ask a question, and then you can vote up other folks. So if everyone would go to ask a question and vote it up, that would be great. Hi, from Bhavna. I'm in a relationship for the past 4 years now. I've been feeling that this is not right for me since the start of the relationship, but I still hold on to it, expecting things to work for the better. But now I don't see myself happy here. Please help me gather courage to get out of this. Well, Bhavna, there's a lot of danger, and I don't mean big danger, I just mean danger, in asking life questions online without a lot of context of people who you may or may not totally trust or know. So as someone who I hope is trustworthy, the first thing I want to say is trust the principal one. Can we put in a blog about that? Bhavna, are you still here? Always trust the principal one. You have to listen to yourself first. And again, that's something that women have been trained to not do. Don't listen to yourself. Don't trust your intuition. Don't trust what you want to do. Listen to society. Listen to societal expectations. Listen to me. So there's the trust the principal one, also by my mom. So trust the principal one. Who's the principal one? It's me. It's you. You always have to ask yourself. And that doesn't mean you're more important. It doesn't mean be selfish. It doesn't mean you're in charge. It means ask yourself first, genuinely. Waylon, did you F up? Did you do this? How do you feel about this? What's the right thing to do? In your case, it sounds really clear that you're not comfortable in it and that maybe there's some sense of you feel entrapped or trapped or bullied or pressured into being in there. So Bhavna, that's on you. You have to say to yourself, I am going to be willing to have a tough conversation. I have to step up and I have to say it. You don't have to say it with fake war. You don't have to say it with real war, and you don't have to continue to be a doormat or to create peace. You need to be willing to have a tough, awkward, vulnerable conversation. Bhavna, are you here? So we can all give you a big hug. So please, Bhavna, read that article, the chapter in Things I Would Like to Do With You. I think it was just a little ways up about how to have a tough conversation or why we want to have a tough conversation, because it'll just motivate you. And it sounds like you're there. And Bhavna, if you feel clear in your heart, in your mind, in your life that it's not right and you're just being pressured into it, don't waste a day. Do it right away. Don't wait for a good time. Don't wait for a good time. I might have been too late for Bhavna. Emily, maybe you can find this recording or send this recording and send it to Bhavna if you can see her registration. Say that I finally got to it, and I apologize for being so late. Lauren, what if the other person gets defensive or angry rather than acknowledging their part in an argument? How do you encourage them to be open and talk without causing another row? Great question, Lauren. So on some level, it doesn't matter. When you're willing to have awkward, sensitive, tender conversation, open conversation, that's all you can control, is to be willing to do that. If they react in a defensive way, give them time, be a little bit patient. Maybe they've never heard this from you and they don't know what the hell is happening. Lauren Jarvis is being super open and vulnerable and brave with me. I've never seen this side of Lauren Jarvis. How do I react to this new Lauren Jarvis? So you could encourage them. You can encourage them in the way you encourage yourself. Again, that's Maitri. I just interviewed Sharon Salzberg 2 days ago. Huge honor, maybe 3 days ago, for our new Maitri course, which is right there. If you join any of the pre-registration courses, like the courses that aren't open yet, you get 50% off. Not to turn into a commercial suddenly, but we've created a slew of courses that are, life paths. So this is a nice moment, hopefully. Is anyone having a nice moment in this 41 minutes? I hope so. Elephant might offer an article that can be a nice moment. We're offering a path through Elephant Academy to go from here to there. and often there is here, right? But we have a new Maitri course. So all of this is founded on Maitri, on metta, on making friends with ourselves. And that's tough, tough stuff. It's not, oh, cute. It's not self-care. My mom has an article about the difference between Maitri and self-care. It'll be in that course, by the way. And we also have a course on meditation for crazy busy people and meditation for real life, not meditation for gurus on mountaintops, meditation for you. How do you develop a meditation routine in the midst of this crazy busy life? Sam, it's sort of like popcorn. We're finishing each course and then it's done and then it goes to full price. So if you want one, I would just honestly sign up now or soon. So meditation for crazy busy people, Maitri, which might be my favorite course. And then we have Mindful Life 101. Actually, that's probably my favorite course. That's more environmental, more how to be a benefit to the world. It's sort of like everything I care about in one course. I think I visualize it's like going through a car wash and then you come out and you're like, I know how to compost. Did anyone ever see The Matrix? Where you like plug in and he comes out of that and he's like, I know Kung Fu. So it's sort of everything about how to live a mindful life. So it's meditation, it's Maitri, it's being environmentally responsible, it's working for the benefit of others, it's right livelihood, it's me talking really quickly, hopefully not. Then we have our existing courses, which are Write Your Heart Out, Find Your Voice, How to Write a Book and Actually Make Money Doing So, How to Publish It Environmentally Responsibly. So, and then how to build a huge Instagram following and create right livelihood, how to sort of monetize what you actually want to do with your life. So all of those courses are right there. And the first half that I discussed are 50% off. And I want to apologize to people for this. I had no idea you could see it. I literally put my laptop at the level. I'll put it on my Instagram later where you can't see it. But it is apropos to dealing with blame. And I deal with a lot of craziness online. I get called all manner of things, sexist, racist, bleeding heart liberal or whatever, that kind of stuff. Metro dickbag. I've been called a rapist on Reddit. It's painful, it's depressing. The most painful things to get called are the ones that are closest to the truth. Like, I think Catherine, I don't want to get the name wrong. Catherine said, I can be arrogant or dismissive. I think that's actually probably me being super speedy and caught up in my own agenda, but how that manifests is being arrogant and dismissive. So yeah, it's super intense being online and trying to do good in this world. Can you imagine all the things Senator Cory Booker was on the other day? Can you imagine all the things he gets called? Can you imagine all the things AOC gets called? Again, we don't have to imagine because we just learned about this week. Let's put her link in there one more week. So wait, did I miss something? Yeah, you got to be physically safe for sure. That's a great qualification. Tough conversation and relationship, always welcome, but you have to make sure you're physically safe or there may not be a point to having that conversation at all. Need to be safe. So, right, Catherine, we're always irritated by what we are irritated by in ourselves, and that's sort of neurosis pointing to neurosis, and often there's wisdom pointing to wisdom, and again, that comes back to Maitri. So we just, at the end of the day, have been called all these things. Like I was called, if you look at the YouTube comments under my conversation with Jane Elliott, which was amazing, and she was amazing, I'm called a million different things. And half of them are probably true, or all of them are half true. Anyway, we're over time. If you'd like to join Elephant Camp, you can join any course in Elephant Academy and then you're free. So Elephant Camp is the weekly free live gathering with concrete instruction, meditation, trainings, and exercises, actual things that you can take home for your whole life. And elephant gatherings are hopefully fun and inspiring. Thank you everyone for coming. Please give yourself a round of applause. And maybe let's end by singing Do It Anyway. So you don't have to join, but if you feel foolish and you want to practice being awkward, if you want to practice being brave, if you want to practice being open, if you want to practice being imperfect at something, if you want to practice being foolish, sing Do It Anyway in the midst of your living room or wherever you are. Do it, do it. And if you don't want to, you can bow. And we'll see you all at elephantjournal.com/camp. You can email academy@elephantjournal.com if you want to get in, if you don't have the access code. academy@elephantjournal.com. Do it anyway, do it, do it, do it anyway. Thank you, Joe. Do it, do it, do it anyway, do it, do it, do it anyway, do it, do it, do it anyway, do it, do it. I'll spare you. Do it anyway, do it, do it. See you at Elephant Camp for another half hour. And join those and you'll get a big discount. If any of you sign up to subscribe, you can literally make our day. I usually put a plug in, but we're out of time. elephantjournal.com/subscribe. Can someone put that in the sidebar? Do it, do it. Catherine, thank you. You made my day. I'm glad that we connected after misconnecting. Do it anyway, do it. Please subscribe. Anyone who hasn't, you'll make our day. $3 a month. It goes to pay editors, a couple of whom were here today. Big health to Molly. Big love to my auntie Liz, who was embarrassed for me. And my mom got to join for most of it.